What you're about to see was never supposed to exist. An airport floating on water, costing $14 billion. Engineers warned it was too risky, too unstable, too dangerous. One wrong calculation could mean total catastrophe. Yet, China built it anyway. Join us as we discover the floating airport that defied reality itself.
Number 13. Dalian Jinzhou Bay Airport. Dalian needed space desperately. The coastal city in northeastern China was choking on traffic, its existing airport buried in the heart of urban sprawl. But here's the problem. Every piece of flat land was already occupied by factories, residential towers, or agricultural zones. The solution? Build an airport where no land exists. In 2013, Chinese engineers announced plans for Dalian Jinzhou Bay Airport, a 14 billion megaproject that would literally manufacture 20 square kilometers of new territory by filling in the ocean. This wasn't about expanding a coastline or building a small platform. We're talking about dropping enough rock and sand into the sea to create an island larger than 2,800 football fields combined. The project required moving 500 million cubic meters of material, equivalent to filling every major stadium in America 150 times over. Construction teams worked 24/7 for 7 years straight, battling typhoons, underground mud pockets, and engineering challenges that had never been solved before. When Dalian Jinzhou Bay Airport opened in 2022, it became the world's largest sea reclamation airport project, capable of handling 13 million passengers annually. The runway sits just 15 meters above sea level, surrounded by nothing but open ocean on 3 sides. Pilots landing here literally descend toward water until the final seconds before touchdown.
Number 12. Kansai International Airport. Before Dalian shocked the world, Japan did it first. Kansai International Airport opened in 1994 on a completely artificial island in Osaka Bay, and it remains one of the most insane construction projects ever completed. The Japanese had a problem. Osaka needed a 24-hour airport, but noise regulations made it impossible to build near the city. So they looked at the ocean and said, we'll just make our own island. They spent $20 billion creating a 4-kilometer platform in water 18 meters deep. Engineers sank over 10,000 concrete columns into the seabed, then piled 180 million cubic meters of landfill on top. Here's where it gets crazy. The island started sinking immediately. Not a little bit. We're talking 50 centimeters in the first year alone. The original terminal building had adjustable columns with hydraulic jacks that could be raised as the island settled. Workers literally lifted the entire building multiple times to keep it level. By 2023, parts of the island had sunk over 3 meters below original construction height. Despite this, Kansai handles over 30 million passengers yearly and has survived multiple typhoons that forecasters predicted would destroy it. The airport became a testing ground for every ocean construction technique used afterward, including those at Dalian. Satellite photos clearly show this massive rectangular island sitting in open water, connected to mainland Japan by a 3.7-kilometer bridge.
I'm going to ask you a simple question. Are you a naturally curious person? If you're watching, I'm pretty sure the answer is yes. This space is made for people like us. To ensure you're always part of this community and receive all our latest discoveries, you just need to do one thing: subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to stay connected with us. Okay, now that you're part of our Legion of the Curious, let's move on to the next item.
Number 11. Valona International Airport, Maldives. The Maldives faces an existential crisis. Rising sea levels threaten to submerge the entire nation. Yet they're building bigger airports on artificial islands, betting on engineering to save them. Valona International Airport near Malé has undergone massive expansion, with a new runway built entirely on reclaimed land. Completed in 2018, the 3.4-kilometer runway sits on an artificial island created from 4 million cubic meters of sand dredged from nearby lagoons. This project was critical because the Maldives' highest natural point is only 2.4 meters above sea level. Engineers designed the runway platform to sit 3 meters above current sea level, with reinforced seawalls rated to withstand the highest projected storm surges. The Maldives cannot afford to have their only international airport flooded. Construction used GPS-guided dredgers that mapped the lagoon floor and extracted sand from specific locations to minimize damage to coral reefs. The runway extension allows wide-body aircraft to operate, turning the Maldives into a major tourist hub. Over 5 million visitors pass through Vallana annually. Aerial photos dramatically show the narrow runway island surrounded by turquoise water, a thin line of concrete defying the ocean. It's a symbol of human determination, or perhaps hubris, building airports on islands that might not exist in 100 years.
Number 10. Tianquanhao Dredging Vessel. Meet the machine that ate the ocean floor. The Tianquanhao is a 140-meter-long floating factory that China deployed to Dalian Bay, and it's responsible for creating most of the artificial island. This beast doesn't just scoop up sand, it destroys underwater mountains. At the front, massive steel cutters spin at high speed, pulverizing rocks that would shatter normal drilling equipment. These cutters can break through limestone, granite, and compacted sediment up to 35 meters below the seafloor. Once crushed, the mixture gets sucked up through pipes wider than subway tunnels, then shot out through hydraulic cannons in a spectacular display called sand rainbowing. From the air, it looks like a giant sprinkler system painting arcs of brown and gold across the water. But this isn't just for show. Projecting sand from height allows gravity to naturally compact the material as it falls, creating a preliminary foundation layer without additional machinery. The Tianquanhao can move 6,000 cubic meters of material per hour, working continuously for weeks. In a single 24-hour shift, this vessel creates land equivalent to 10 city blocks. China built several of these ships specifically for mega reclamation projects, giving them the ability to reshape coastlines faster than any nation in history.
Number 9. Palm Jumeirah, Dubai. Dubai took ocean reclamation and turned it into art. Palm Jumeirah, completed in 2006, is an artificial archipelago shaped like a giant palm tree visible from orbit. This wasn't about airports or infrastructure. This was about creating luxury real estate where none existed. The project required 94 million cubic meters of sand dredged from the Persian Gulf floor and 7 million tons of rock from quarries in the UAE mountains. Belgian and Dutch dredging companies deployed GPS-guided ships that sprayed sand with pinpoint accuracy to form the palm's trunk and 17 fronds. Each frond became a residential area, with beachfront property selling for millions. The outer crescent breakwater stretches 11 kilometers and uses rock pieces weighing up to 6 tons each. Here's the wild part. The entire island was built in just 5 years, using 40 dredging ships and over 10,000 workers. Developers added 78 kilometers of new coastline to Dubai. Today, Palm Jumeirah holds luxury hotels, 1,500 beachfront mansions, and apartments housing over 10,000 residents. Google Earth images make this one of the most recognizable man-made structures on the planet, proof that humans can literally reshape geography for pure ambition.
Number 8. Shenzhen Baoan International Airport. Shenzhen's airport expansion tells the story of China's explosive growth. The original airport, built in 1991, quickly became inadequate as Shenzhen transformed from fishing village to megacity. In 2011, China opened a massive new terminal on reclaimed land extending into the Pearl River Delta. Engineers created 5.5 square kilometers of new territory by moving 110 million cubic meters of material. The second runway sits entirely on artificial island, built to handle the world's largest aircraft. Construction faced difficult conditions. The Pearl River carries enormous sediment loads that constantly tried to bury the worksite. Dredgers operated non-stop to maintain water depth for construction vessels. The airport terminal, designed to look like a manta ray, became an architectural landmark. Its curved roof spans 1.5 kilometers without internal support columns, one of the world's largest column-free spaces. Shenzhen Baoan now handles over 50 million passengers yearly, making it one of China's busiest airports. The reclamation project connected to broader plans to expand Shenzhen's coastline, eventually adding 70 square kilometers of new land to the city. Satellite imagery shows the airport's distinctive shape jutting into the delta, with land reclamation continuing around it. This is China's model: build airports on new land while the city expands to meet them.
Number 7. Incheon International Airport. South Korea's Incheon Airport proves that ocean airports can be built on time and under budget.
Opened in 2001, it sits on reclaimed land between two small islands in the Yellow Sea, connected to Seoul by a 12-kilometer bridge. Engineers moved 150 million cubic meters of material to create 5.6 square kilometers of new land. The construction timeline was aggressive. Groundbreaking in 1992, first flight in 2001, just 9 years for a mega project of this scale. Korean engineers learned from Japan's Kansai Airport mistakes. Instead of building on deep water with massive columns, they chose shallow tidal flats and used extensive soil compaction to prevent settling. The ground was treated with over 100,000 vertical drains that squeezed water out of soft sediment, allowing it to compress before construction began. This technique worked perfectly. The airport has experienced minimal subsidence. Incheon has expanded multiple times, with a third phase adding another artificial island for a second terminal. Today, it's one of the world's busiest airports, handling 70 million passengers and 3 million tons of cargo annually. Satellite images show the sprawling complex with 4 runways, all built on land that was underwater 30 years ago. It's become the gold standard for ocean airport construction.
Number 6. Sonar mapping technology. Before dropping a single grain of sand, engineers faced total blindness. The seafloor in Jinzhou-Bissau isn't a simple flat surface. It's a treacherous landscape of mud volcanoes, underwater valleys, and unstable sediment layers that shift with currents. Building on this without proper mapping would be like constructing a skyscraper on quicksand. Chinese survey ships deployed multi-beam sonar systems that work like underwater radar, sending millions of acoustic pulses per second toward the bottom. When these sound waves bounce back, computers analyze the time delays to create 3D maps accurate to within 1 millimeter. But surface mapping wasn't enough. Engineers drilled over 20,000 core samples, some reaching 300 meters below the seafloor. Why go so deep? Because hidden beneath the visible sand are deadly mud pockets, pockets of liquefied sediment that can swallow entire structures. One undetected mud pocket could cause a runway worth billions to slide sideways the moment a 500-ton aircraft lands. Each soil sample extracted tells a geological story spanning millions of years, revealing whether the foundation can support the massive weight planned above. This mapping phase took 3 years and cost $200 million alone, but it provided the blueprint for every construction decision that followed.
Number 5. Geotextile foundation layers. Building an island on ocean floor is like trying to stack blocks on pudding. Waves, currents, and tides would wash away loose sand within days if not properly secured. Chinese engineers used a technique called the geotextile sandwich, starting with massive sheets of geotextile fabric. Think of this material as ultra-strong fabric membranes, tougher than bulletproof vests, spread across the muddy seafloor. These geotextiles prevent the newly dumped sand from mixing with the soft mud underneath, which would turn the whole foundation into soup. On top of the fabric, workers dropped enormous boulders, some weighing over 10 tons each, trucked from quarries hundreds of kilometers away. These rocks formed the skeleton of the island, locking everything in place through pure friction and weight. Between the boulders, millions of cubic meters of sand fill the gaps, creating a compact mass. The science here is fascinating. Rocks provide stability and rough surfaces that grip, while sand fills voids and distributes pressure evenly. This same technique was used at Hong Kong International Airport, where the foundation has remained stable for over 25 years despite constant wave action. At Dalian, the geotextile layers cover an area equivalent to 400 city blocks, all installed underwater by specialized construction barges.
Number 4. Nagoya Centrair Airport. Japan came back with another ocean airport in 2005, this time near Nagoya. Chubu Centrair International Airport sits on an artificial island in Ise Bay, built using lessons from Kansai's sinking problems. Engineers chose a shallower site and used a massive soil improvement program before reclamation started. They drove 11,000 sand compaction piles into the seabed, creating stable columns of densely packed material. Between the columns, workers vibro-compacted the existing soil, eliminating soft spots. Only after this foundation treatment did they begin dumping 58 million cubic meters of fill. The strategy worked. The island has settled less than 20 centimeters total, compared to Kansai's 3-meter drop. Centrair features a distinctive terminal design with an open-air observation deck that's become a tourist attraction. The airport serves 12 million passengers yearly and functions as a backup hub when weather closes other Japanese airports. Construction cost $7 billion, relatively cheap because engineers avoided Kansai's expensive settlement compensation systems. Today, Centrair demonstrates that ocean airports don't have to sink if you properly prepare the foundation first. Aerial photos show the rectangular island connected to shore by a 4-kilometer access bridge carrying both cars and trains.
Number 3. Kansai Airport Typhoon Jebi Survival. In September 2018, Typhoon Jebi tested whether ocean airports could survive nature's worst. Jebi slammed into Kansai International Airport with winds exceeding 200 kilometers per hour and a 3-meter storm surge. The airport, already famous for its sinking problems, faced its ultimate challenge. Waves crashed over the seawalls, flooding runways and terminals. A tanker ship broke free from its moorings and smashed into the only bridge connecting the airport to mainland Japan, trapping 8,000 passengers and workers on the island. Photos from that day show water covering the tarmac, aircraft parked in flooded areas, and the bridge with a massive ship embedded in it. Here's the remarkable part. The airport survived. The terminal building, designed to withstand exactly this scenario, remained structurally sound despite flooding. Pumps activated automatically, removing water from critical areas. Within 2 weeks, one runway reopened. Within 3 months, the airport returned to full operations. Engineers had anticipated every aspect of this disaster and built accordingly. The bridge was repaired and the tanker removed. Kansai survival proved that ocean airports, when properly designed, can endure typhoons that would destroy land-based infrastructure. This real-world test validated decades of engineering calculations and gave confidence to other ocean airport projects worldwide.
Number 2. Tetrapod Breakwater System. The ocean never accepts losing territory without a fight. Typhoons in the East China Sea generate waves exceeding 20 meters high, carrying destructive force measured in thousands of tons per square meter. Without armor, Dalian's artificial island would erode back into the sea after just one storm season. But the secret isn't building rigid walls. Flat concrete barriers would absorb full wave impact and eventually shatter. Instead, Chinese engineers deployed tetrapods, bizarre concrete shapes that look like giant jacks or mutant starfish. Each piece weighs up to 50 tons and features multiple protruding arms. The genius is in fluid dynamics. When a violent wave hits, instead of bouncing back entirely, water fragments and flows between the tetrapod gaps. Currents collide inside the structure, canceling their own energy and turning into harmless foam. This is the philosophy of defeating hardness with flexibility. Over 100,000 tetrapods ring Dalian's airport island, forming a 7-kilometer protective barrier. They're not cemented together, they simply rest on each other, allowing the entire system to flex and absorb energy like a martial artist redirecting a punch. This armor doesn't just prevent erosion, it creates artificial reefs, where marine life quickly colonizes the rough concrete surfaces. Number 1. Macau International Airport. Macau's airport sits on a skinny artificial island that looks like it shouldn't exist. Completed in 1995, this project crammed a full international airport onto just 1.2 square kilometers of reclaimed land in the Pearl River Delta. Space was so tight that the runway starts and ends in water, with no overrun areas. If a pilot miscalculates, the plane goes straight into the ocean. Engineers reclaimed land by building a massive seawall, then filling the enclosed area with 20 million cubic meters of sand. The runway is only 3.3 kilometers long, limiting which aircraft can land there. Wide-body jets need near-perfect conditions to operate safely. What makes Macau's airport remarkable is its location between 2 river channels with unpredictable currents. Foundation work required driving 6,000 concrete piles up to 80 meters deep to reach stable bedrock. The airport handles 9 million passengers yearly despite its compact size, serving as a critical gateway to one of the world's densest urban areas. Aerial photos show this narrow strip jutting into brown river water, with the runway consuming almost the entire island. It's a masterclass in building big infrastructure on the smallest possible footprint.
Still curious? Then don't stop now. The next mystery is already waiting for you. Just click the video on screen. I saved it just for you. See you there, curious one.